Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to our series playing d4. So in this series we're covering some good lines by playing of course the first move d4 against particular openings, against the particular sidelines of openings, and today we're trying again to beat the Benoni Defense. The Benoni Defense is playable I think in many levels in chess, but I think most of the times it's played maybe in the FIDE Master, International Master level, and today we're facing a different kind of Benoni. I've explained you this Kingside Move Order so far, and if you want to study more this aggressive setup against the Benoni, check out my series Beat the Benoni. So I've created now a separate playlist. So we have now the D4 series, but we have also the Beat the Benoni separate series, so you can maybe have a good preparation. Maybe if you will have to play against a strong opponent, you can maybe use this Kingside Move Order in order to beat your opponent. So today a different setup, e5, d6, c5 will be the setup by black, but still we can play our Kingside Move Order. That's the cool part of this setup that I wanted to teach you, because it is a very flexible setup, and I think we can use it many times in get the same and similar structures that we like. So let's see now the difference and how we should counterplay this d5, pardon me, the d6, c5 and e5 setup. So here d4, f6. I recommend you to go knight to f3. After c5 we have d5. After d6, I recommend you again to play the move knight to c3. No, so not the move c4. Then you're vulnerable, maybe after potential c4 move, you're vulnerable also to some Benko Gambit ideas, to some check Benoni ideas with e5. So here we're playing the move knight to c3, and I've explained this idea so far in the series. We're not playing the move c4. We'll still want to have the flexibility to play the move c3 in order to counterplay a potential knight outpost on d4, because most of the times black will try to occupy the d4 square. So here black can go g6, and we can go now simply e4, bishop to g7, and now again my recommendation is here to go bishop to b5. So here again we'll do this line bishop to d7, a4 is my recommendation. We have covered also this line in my previous videos with bishop to b5, then a takes b5, opening the a file. So here after castling, my recommendation is also to castle, and we have also covered the idea of bishop to g4 with h3, bishop to takes f3. I'm showing this line because I think they're played very often, and they have of course its own ideas. But here again knight to a6, we have covered also this line, but with a different move order. I again recommend you to play the move rook to e1, and now after knight to c7 we have bishop to f1. Now comes the different part, e5. What we can notice, black is building now the so-called King's Indian pawn structure, and the problem, if you're familiar maybe more with the King's Indian, we want to play in some occasions the move c3 and b4 pawn breakthrough, but it's better when we have already maybe the move a3 here, so we can still support our potential b4 motif. And the problem is now black, I think, can go with the potential idea f5, f4 if we leave this position like this. What we in some occasions don't want to do is to create this Benoni structure, but here still my recommendation is to play the move d takes e6, because first of all the pawn on d6 is hanging, so that's why black is forced to recapture with the bishop, and now my recommendation is to go bishop to f4. And here black is already in several troubles. That's the line I'm recommending you. This is now our setup we're playing today. What black can do is maybe a d5 pawn breakthrough, but it leads now into a very complicated line. I think here a queen sacrifice is even possible with queen to c7. Queen takes c7, e takes d5. We have grabbed the pawn, and the best way maybe here for black is to counterplay with rook to d8. But now my recommendation is to play knight to b5, attacking the queen, maybe for something like queen to b8, now to sacrifice the queen. I think after queen to rook to d1, e takes f7 and king to f7, we have a very comfortable game. Rook to d1, and you see now we have both rooks on this open files. The king is still endangered. Here bishop to c4 can be played with knight to g5. The queen is a little bit cornered here, and we still have good opportunities to activate our knight on d6. So I think this is a very important line that you should know in the Benoni, in the Kingside Move Order against the Benoni. And believe me or not, this is playable. The evaluation is plus 2.3 here for white. Although we have lost the queen, but I think we have such a great compensation, such a great activity, such a great open file here, and black's activity is not good. Black will need many moves in order to regroup, to get the pieces activated. And as I said, this is a line I think you should be really familiar in the Kingside Move Order. This is, I think, perfectly playable. So, but in one game, I wanted to show you, after the move bishop to f4, it was a game between Hector Cardenas Elizalde against Maritza Robaina Arribas. Here, we can immediately play the move bishop to f4. And we have seen now that this d5 idea doesn't work immediately, so that's why here black in some occasions will go knight from f to e8 or knight from c to e8. So whatever happens, my recommendation is still to go queen to d2. We're playing again against the simple idea in chess, and it's of course the backward pawn. I don't think this line is good for black. We have clear ideas. We can play rook to d1, and I think, look at this setup. I always like to say this is a great attacking setup. Rook to d1, queen to d2. So really nice battery on the d file. We have queen to d2, bishop to f4, a very nice bishop and queen battery on dark squares. We have also a very nice attack with the support of the rook and with the bishop against the weak d6 square. We still have a good activity with our bishop on b5. We still have good activities with our knights, because our knights are on the most natural squares. They are basically on the best starting squares, knight on c3 and knight to f3. And I think this is a bad setup here for black. In the game here d5 was played. We have e takes d5, knight to d5, and now rook to d1. This is the threat. We can create some tactics on the d file, because there is the lack of connection here on the back rank. You see the queen is not connected to both of the rook, so that's why here knight to c7 has to be played. But now bishop to g5 played here by white in this game. Here bishop to f6, and now knight to d5. We have knight takes d5, and now bishop to c4, knight to c7, and now comes queen to a5, discovered attack on the queen. Although maybe black could have proceeded here with b6, but still I think it's a bad game. Although the best move maybe here for white is to play the move bishop to f4 after something like bishop to g5, knight to g5. Still the queen is hanging, and if the queen moves, for instance, to c8, we have queen to h4. Again, really some tactical threats here on the h file. So, but queen to a5 here was played, and even if b6 happens, I think we still can go into a comfortable line after b takes a5, rook takes a8, rook takes a8, bishop to e6. Here maybe bishop takes g5 can be played, but now bishop takes f7, and now we can grab a bishop and go maybe into a favorable endgame here. But still, as I said, after the queen to a5, here queen to e7 was played, bishop takes f6, queen to f6, and now queen to c7. Although black can recapture here the bishop, but now after queen takes c5, still I think this is much better for white. The knight can be centralized here on e5. The bishop is still hanging in the game. Bishop to e6 was played, knight to d4. We have rook to c8, and now after trades of queens, bishop to d7, now simply pushing a5, rook to e8. And I don't want you really to show you the whole game. I hope you realize that black had really some troubles here. We're going basically into an endgame with one pawn up, which should be winning. Of course, now it's basically on you to study your endgame techniques, but this should be winning with a very nice centralized knight. One of the main ideas of this endgame is to get our pawns off the light squares where they cannot be attacked by the light square bishop. Creating a very nice centralized knight outpost on d4, maybe go even into a simplified line by trading off the rooks. And as I said, in this particular game, white won the game very easily. But let's go back. As I said here, a very important thing to recognize: this move bishop to d7. And therefore e5, d takes e6, because you can see maybe knight to e6, but now queen to d6 can happen. Bishop to c6 was also very dangerous. Queen to d8, but still maybe we can hang on to our extra pawn, develop simply our minor pieces, getting the rooks on the open and semi-open files. So as I said, some things you should really study for your own. I really wanted to show you some cool lines. As I said here, for instance, after the move d5, we have this tactics, e takes d5, rook to d8, and now knight to b5, and now it's time to sacrifice the queen for the rook and the bishop and a pawn, because we have this in-between check. E takes f7, king to f7, rook to d1, and look at this setup. I would love to play against anyone this particular position. So, okay, I hope that you realize these ideas, that this e5, building up the king's in and pawn structure, it's not such a powerful idea by black. I think it can be met with this d takes e6 idea to go into simplified lines and win the games very easily and very effectively. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to more study the game against the Benoni Defense, check out my D4 series, and as I said, here's the separate playlist, how to beat the Benoni. You can also check it out, and if you like this content, you can also subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.